And Three Dog Thursday does continue with the YouTube video roundtable and a couple of my faves, a couple guys that I love commiserating with, not just on their shows, but off the air with them. First up, longtime voice. I don't want to make him out to be ancient, but this guy has got 4 decades on the mic calling Memphis Tigers basketball. He has seen it all, from Penny Hardaway to Derrick Rose to John Calipari and back. Dave Woloshin, voice of the Memphis Tigers. Great to have you
Good to see
here
you.
on Three Dog Thursday on the video. Your technology working fantastic, sir.
Well, it's because somebody set it up for me, I promise.
Love that. So Wolo is in Memphis, and you just saw a preview of my initials brother from another mother, TC Martin, out in Las Vegas. The TC Martin Show, as you can see on his screen, is on 5 days a week out in Vegas every afternoon. How are you, my friend? It's good to have you with all that's happening. Good to see you.
It's great to be with you, my friend, and Dave as well too. Go Tigers, by the way. And of course, TJ always wants to talk about Tampa being the epicenter of the championship sporting world, which I will give him that. But let's remember, my friend, these first few weeks in March, Las Vegas is the epicenter of college basketball. Let's remember that.
TC
You
was
guys have
going,
enough tournaments.
that's
That's
what I was going to say.
Only
TC was
5 right
going
now,
over.
exactly.
You were going over this with me. You have 5 tournaments that you're going to try to get to at one point or another. College basketball coming up. We bow. We bow to your conference tournament presence because there's very few that can do that. And one more thing, because I'm sporting the Tampa Bay Rays hat, because whenever I get a chance, and for the YouTube audience, come find us. As I often say, if you're only hearing us on Apple Podcast, on Spotify, on Google Podcast, however you found the show, social media link to hear us, come find us on YouTube, see the video, see what we look like. TC and I go back and forth about the Tampa Bay Rays. He still has not forgiven Kevin Cash, the manager, for pulling Blake Snell out of Game 6 of the World Series. You think you haven't forgiven him. We still haven't forgiven that. And I guess it's going to take till like another postseason before we can forgive him for that. But TC's big on like the Astros because you have Dusty Baker on your show. He's a good friend of yours. So I'm just needling you wearing Tampa Bay Rays. But you have trumped me. You have matched me because Woloshin is the voice of the Tigers. So we see his Tiger background. But what did you pull out of the archives, out of the mothballs, out of the closet? Show that to the audience slowly there, TC. What do you have on right now?
When you said we had Dave on today, I did dress for the occasion, my friend. So there we go, right here.
Memphis Tiger fantastic shirt just for us, and it didn't blend too badly in the background. Very good. That is fantastic there on the screen. So I'm the only one not wearing Tiger stuff. I got Buccaneer Super Bowl hats. I got a Rays hat. And I'm an alum. Of the 3 of us, I'm the only one with the sheepskin from Memphis, from the old Memphis State, now the University of Memphis.
You're out of season, my friend, right now. Dave and I, we're in season. You're out of season.
Well, TC, when you first started getting up, I thought that was going to say Memphis State. And I know you go back with Penny Hardaway. So that could have been appropriate.
Tell the story real quick, because Penny's now the coach. Penny, the former great player at Memphis, a longtime NBA all-star, etc. But tell your Penny Hardaway story, TC Martin.
Used to coach high school basketball in Sacramento, and founded one of the very first AAU teams back when you actually had a true all-star team for your city. Now everybody and their mother has neighborhood AAU teams, as we know, right? But when we went to the Nationals, going back when Penny Hardaway was in high school, we faced that Memphis team. I believe it was in a quarterfinal in Orlando, Florida. And at that point in time, this group, I mean, they were famous for their AAU programs. I'm sure, as you guys know, they had won like 89 in a row at one point in time. And yes, our Sacramento CalStar team led them at halftime. However, second half didn't happen.
They made it 90 in a row, or 91.
2 halves.
Exactly.
Along those lines, first time I ever saw Penny Hardaway, I really wasn't even going to see Penny Hardaway. Elliot Perry was a senior on the same high school team as Penny as a freshman. And of course, he wasn't Penny then, he was Anthony Hardaway.
Correct.
He wasn't even started. And we came to watch the guy that we thought was going to commit to Memphis, and he did, Elliot Perry. All of a sudden, this skinny kid wearing number 25, the uniform is too big for him. And they go, Anthony Hardaway. We go, who is this guy? And then he started playing. And we almost forgot about Elliot Perry. And he was a great player, played in the NBA.
Absolutely.
But Penny Hardaway, you could tell when he was just a little kid how special he was.
Yeah, back in those days, I mean, Memphis was just such a hotbed of talent. And these guys were known basically throughout the United States. So we went to these tournaments. We were like, oh man, we're going to face Memphis. Watch out for Memphis. And we had some great battles with those guys.
No doubt. And I'll even add one story too. And this is around the time that I met Wolo for the first time. I was a student at Memphis State, and a couple of upperclassmen buddies of mine that were broadcasting majors said, hey, we're going to go see the future of either Memphis State basketball or Arkansas basketball, because Penny was either going to go to one of two places, either for Larry Finch at Memphis State or Nolan Richardson at Arkansas. And Dave, we went to that same Treadwell High School game, but in this case, they weren't. I don't know if your game was at Treadwell High School, which had a much smaller gym. We went to another gymnasium, White Station High School, that seated something like 2,000 people. And I exaggerate you not, there were probably 2,500 and maybe closer to 2,700 or more. Fire marshal disaster with people everywhere. Right. And I watched a junior Penny Hardaway, probably around the time TC Martin that you were coaching against him in AAU, dominate a game. It was unreal to watch a 6'7", maybe 180-pound soaking wet Penny Hardaway. The other team's playing triangle and two with two guys guarding Penny everywhere. He still scored 40 points. Yeah. He went up for a dunk, and I exaggerate you not, that looked like NBA Penny Hardaway dunking on Patrick Ewing, et cetera. But he went up for a dunk, and they about tore the place down that night. And I looked at the guys that I was with and said, he's a junior in high school doing this stuff. So yes, the Penny Love Fest is going on. And that's a perfect segue just for a second, because Wolo, I want to talk some NFL. TC, I want to talk a little NFL. Then I want to come back to college basketball. You're around Penny Hardaway now as the coach of the Memphis Tigers. We're that old. What is this like to be around him? It's now, I believe, his third season. What is this like to be around him, knowing he was such a great player and such a legend in that city, and now he's the coach of the Memphis Tigers?
Well, he's a terrific guy to begin with. And it's really, I guess it goes to show you how we all hope to go full circle, because I did his games on television as when he was a player. And he still refers to some of those calls, which I appreciate. And now I've got him as the coach. He's just a genuinely terrific human being. This is no lie. The other day, his team is out with COVID. We have this snowstorm that last time we had this much snow was 1985. It was crazy. People were getting stuck in the snow. He was able to literally get out because his team couldn't, but he didn't have COVID. He was going out, just driving around, helping people. He helped this old lady stranded on Walnut Grove. I mean, just a great story, and really and truly just a great guy. I've never seen him turn down anybody for a selfie or an autograph. He always takes his time. He always talks to these people, listens to them. He's a special guy, a special player, and a special guy as a human being.
Love me some Penny Hardaway. Now I'm gonna bring up a bad memory, just one more. TC Martin, you brought up Orlando and the AAU tournament. Penny Hardaway's final college game. Wolo, I don't think you were on the radio call at that time, but I was there. You were there in the Orlando Arena. Western Kentucky upset the Memphis State Tigers, ended Penny Hardaway's career. As dejected as you could imagine after the game. His career's over. He knew he was going to the NBA. So Penny Hardaway's final game in the Orlando Arena. Several months later, he's drafted by Golden State, but traded for Chris Webber in the 90s and plays his first NBA game in his first few NBA years in the same Orlando Arena. I still remember having Uncle Wolo on the radio with me doing sports talk in Tampa when they were ready to burn Central Florida down over not getting Chris Webber to pair him with Shaq. You were talking people off the ledge, Dave Woloshin, and saying, this guy can play, and this guy's going to help you as a guard and as an assist guy with Shaq. I still remember that. And then Penny went on to a long career in Orlando and in the NBA.
Oh, it turned out to be a great move. I still remember that last shot against Western Kentucky. The play was designed by Larry Finch for Penny Hardaway. We had a really good three-point shooter named Rodney Newsom, who's now a high school coach. For whatever reason, Rodney decided he was taking the last shot, and it didn't work out well.
And it ends up being an L. And that's what March is all about. And I promise we'll circle back on Three Dog Thursday to everything with college hoops. TC is going to talk some Vegas and the West Coast Conference tournament coming with Gonzaga to Vegas this weekend. Wolo going to talk the end of the American Conference season. Again, the league that Memphis is in has Houston and Wichita State and SMU, et cetera, et cetera. We'll talk about that in a moment. But as I share the screen, guys, let's talk about here as the YouTube audience is seeing this. The story in the NFL offseason, J.J. Watt earlier this week. TC Martin, to you first. Very similar to your deal on your radio show in Vegas. J.J. gets $23 million guaranteed for the next 2 years. He chooses the Cardinals on a 2-year deal. How surprised are you that when he could have chosen to go anywhere, including playing for my Tampa Bay world champion Buccaneers, he chose Arizona? How surprised are you?
I was surprised, and everyone that I've talked to is pretty much surprised about this move. But again, with JJ Watt, I think he was looking for the money here, to a certain degree, and there is a lot of upside in Arizona. And you can think what you want about Kyler Murray on the offensive side of the ball, but that defense has always been their staple, and they really were had a letdown defensively this year. But they did have some injuries on that side of the ball as well too. So with Chandler coming back, he missed 11 games last year, and then with Watt to go beside him, their secondary already pretty strong. I think that he felt this is a fresh start. Let's go over here to the NFC. Arizona, as you know, is maybe not the Cardinals, but people love living in Arizona. That probably had something to do with it as well too. But I think a lot of people, especially Packer fans, were hoping that he would end up in Green Bay. There was some talk that Aaron Rodgers and J.J. Watt had some conversations. They are pretty friendly. Of course, Watt grew up in Wisconsin and went to University of Wisconsin, was a diehard Packer fan growing up. So I think he entertained that for a while. However, I think the Packers really squashed that deal because the Packers are not known for spending a lot of money, especially with free agents. So I think that was, he got taken aback by a little of that, not knowing exactly how long Rodgers may be there and all that, a little bit of turmoil. But then, Cleveland really kind of surprised me as well too. Like that was the flavor of the month. Are you really considering the Cleveland Browns? Seems a little bit strange there. But I agree with you. I think, Tampa Bay would have made some sense. They probably could have, better than I do if they could fit, his salary into the cap there, that sort of thing. But I think Arizona was just, when you look back now in retrospect, it kind of makes some sense. There is this view that Arizona is kind of an up and coming team, and it's a 2-year deal, $23 million guarantee. He's not going to say no to that.
Dave Woloshin, your opinion here. I know you've been talking about it on your afternoon show on Sports 56, the all sports station in Memphis. How surprised are you that it was not a championship contender? This is an Arizona team that didn't even make the playoffs last year. How surprised are you J.J. Watt picked there when he could have picked anywhere?
Well, it's evident that Kyler Murray was a much better salesman than Aaron Rodgers. Although Aaron Rodgers' fiance is pretty impressive. He sold her, that's for sure. But I guess I'm a little surprised, but maybe I shouldn't be. Tell me, what does J.J. Watt ever want? He wanted the money, guaranteed money. He's never had a big game that you could talk about in a big circumstance. This is guaranteed. I do think the fact that they came after him, and maybe Cliff Kingsbury has a more together environment. He was coming from dysfunction in Houston. We see that more and more. So I think the money and the fact that winning may not be that important, and they really wanted him, but that guaranteed money is probably the biggest factor.
Well, yeah, you bring it up. I mean, winning is obviously important, you would think, at this stage of his career, but I think the argument can be made, is it the most important thing when you have guys who are willing to take less to go get around a championship team? And we saw that here in Tampa Bay, and we see it in other sports too. Hey, if I've got a chance to go there as a free agent, whether it's be around LeBron and the Lakers, for example, with a chance to be there, or when Peyton Manning was with the Broncos and a chance to win there, TC, I see you want to add to that, but take less money to go win a title. That apparently was not at the forefront for J.J. Watt.
No, it wasn't. But I think there was one factor there. And, Dave brought up a good point about Kyler Murray being the salesperson more so than Aaron Rodgers. The salesperson in this deal, guys, was DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, these guys get to reconnect. And DeAndre Hopkins, if you remember, 4 days after J.J. Watt was released, he was reaching out to him and, posted on social media, photoshopped both of them in Cardinal uniform. So he was doing the recruiting. And everything that I have heard when they were their time in Houston, even though one was a wide receiver and one's a D lineman, that these guys were pretty friendly. And DeAndre Hopkins actively recruited J.J. Watt to Arizona, so they get to reunite, and it's a fresh start for J.J. Watt. And just like you said, Dave, all that dysfunction that happened this past season in Houston, with Hopkins leaving, prior to that, the coaching situation, the GM situation, going back to Bill O'Brien. Yeah, he wanted a fresh start, and I think he's getting it here. We'll see what happens.
Quick take from both of you. Wolo, you first. Is Deshaun Watson going to be on another team? You don't have to pick which one. Is he going to be in Houston, or is he going to be on another team now that Watt is gone, Hopkins is gone? Wolo?
I think he's trying to press this. I think he really wants to be gone. If I were the Texans, I don't know that I want a player that I don't think wants to be here, but he is a really, really good player. You look at his efficiency numbers, you look what he brings, and he's, for instance, you hear maybe Jacksonville would try to trade him, give Trevor Lawrence to the Cardinals and to the Texans, and you get Deshaun Watson. I would take that in a heartbeat if I were the Jags, because he's a proven commodity. There's always a question about, no matter how good that draft choice is, there's always a question: will he really make it? Will it go over to the National Football League? So I really don't know. I mean, if I were the Texans, it's hard to keep a guy that really doesn't want to be there. But do they have a choice? I'm not sure. I guess if you're going to put make me make a decision, I'll say he won't be there.
He won't be there. TC, quickly, do you agree that Deshaun Watson is somewhere else other than Houston?
This is tough because really Houston holds all the power here. I mean, if they want to keep him, they're going to keep him. Deshaun Watson can say whatever he wants to say, do whatever he wants to do, lobby as much as he wants to. But the bottom line is, Houston saying, hey, you're the guy. And that's all they got. I mean, they really don't have much of a backup. Are they going to get somebody, via the draft? As of right now, I think if Houston wants to play hardball, I don't think they really are concerned about the feel-good situation, how they look here. If they feel that it gives them the best chance to win, whether he's happy or not, I'm kind of leaning towards he stays.
All right, there's the voice of TC Martin. He's at TC Martin21 on Twitter. Dave Woloshin is Twitterless even still to this day, but you can find his station.
No. I'm on Twitter,
but you're like low profile.
I don't tweet.
You don't tweet. Yeah. He's low profile. Find him through his station at Sports 56 WHBQ. That's his station in Memphis, and we'll show that again to the audience. If you're only hearing us, come find us on the YouTube Roundtable under Three Dog Thursday. Another subject here. I'll share the screen. Last night, at the time that we are taping for Three Dog Thursday, Tom Brady appeared on the Late Late Show on CBS with James Corden, the comedian host, the British comedian host. So there he is talking on many subjects, including most interesting here, and this is getting some play in the Tampa Bay area. He revealed that his wife, Giselle, who is obviously a multimillionaire supermodel, there are some that say she's got more financial backing in all of her businesses and enterprises than he does as a former NFL player. That's saying something. Anyway, they're a power couple, no doubt. But he revealed last night that she has been urging him to walk away and retire. I think that's interesting. That's something that we have all speculated with. TC, you begin quickly here. What do you make of that? What Brady revealed? He hadn't revealed that anywhere else. He revealed it last night that she was lobbying. What more do you have to prove is what she was basically saying to him. What do you think, TC?
I don't think this is the first conversation that those two have had, regarding this. This has been going back for the past couple of years. But of course, when you win a Super Bowl championship and you relocate and, you're 43 years old, yeah, I think that's going to be at the top of her mind, but I don't think it's at the top of his mind. I mean, he's having fun. He figures, hey, I've got a couple more years left. And I really don't consider Tom Brady as a guy thinking that, hey, I want to go out on top. For him, if he's healthy, he's enjoying what he has there in Tampa Bay and continue to grind out a couple more years, I think he just wants to play football. And I think football was fun again for him this year. So, if he wanted to go that direction, I think we would have heard that, basically leading up to the Super Bowl or immediately afterwards. But again, you saw in person how much fun he was having at that boat parade afterwards. I think Tom Brady's coming back.
And he did talk a lot about the boat parade on that interview. So again, go find it through CBS, James Corden, The Late Show, their Twitter, the YouTube page, etc. And you can see the full interview. Dave Woloshin, same question to you. How interesting do you find that his wife was lobbying and saying, what more do you have to prove?
I wouldn't want to make Giselle mad if I were him. But that being said, I would point out to Giselle, I don't think they touched me this year. I know in that Super Bowl, they never put a grass stain on the guy. He's pretty safe. If most of these guys are coming back, he's got a chance for another Super Bowl. I agree with TC. He's having a ball. He's loving this. Let it continue for another year or so. What has he got to lose? He's already set for legacy. He's already set for money. This is all a bunch of fun. And until it isn't, he should do it.
One more important thing too, and as married men with kids, etc., his kids, all of them, three of them, are now old enough where they understand what's going on and are enjoying it. And in watching him with my own eyes at field level celebrate with them and with Giselle, and now we've seen all the NFL film stuff, the inside the NFL stuff, the behind the scenes stuff, where he was mic'd up, he's hugging them. Is that any fun? He's saying to his daughter, hey, baby girl, was that any fun? He's on the stage saying to Bruce Arians and the other players, because they had not been, for COVID guidelines, had not been able as a family to even be around the others. He's introducing his kids to Bruce Arians and saying, this is Coach BA. I think that's part of this. It may not be a big part of it, but part of it is he's enjoying doing this and they can see him do it in real time. And he hasn't really had that. The Super Bowl a couple years ago in New England, he had it, but they were a little younger. Now they can enjoy this a little more. It's just an interesting aspect to the whole story there. Well, did you have one more thing real quick?
And one last thing. One other reason why, Giselle, please be nice and let Tom play. We want TJ to get another ring.
Yes, I do have two of those hats now that I'm very proud of, the Super Bowl hats. No confirmation yet on Super Bowl rings for the broadcasters. Who knows? I again relish being down there at field level for Super Bowl 55 in Raymond James Stadium. I mean, that is an all-time memory, a broadcast memory, a professional thrill,
but
a lot
TJ,
of fun.
To be fair here, I think that Tom Brady's kids have a little bit better understanding than your kids. I mean, when it comes to this, when your kids are saying, "Oh, hey, I'm going to pick the other team," and Daddy's going, "Wait a minute, more wins mean more checks, means more drive-throughs for you." Come on now, I think they're
in the Rives household.
Kids get it.
I went on both of your shows, TC's show in Vegas and Dave's show with Brett Norsworthy, Wolo and Stats, the afternoon show in Memphis. And said to both of you that I had to convince one of the twins, stop picking against the Bucs in the Saints game or the Packers game, because more wins means more checks here. Daddy keeps working. So it is a little different pay scale, slightly different pay scale between the two, between Tom Brady and between me. All right, few moments left. I want to turn it back to college hoops. We see now on the screen on the YouTube roundtable. Here we go with championship tournament after championship tournament of college basketball, the West Coast Conference, the WCC, coming to Las Vegas, where Gonzaga is the top seed. It's basically been the Mark Few Invitational for years. The Gonzaga Bulldogs. All right, they're the top seed. It is one of numerous college basketball tournaments coming to your area, TC. That one is starting this weekend. Championship game, Tuesday night at the time that we're taping, but the tournament getting underway through this weekend. Pac-12 will be there. Who else? Help me out. That's coming to Vegas. The
Mountain West Conference,
West,
the
right?
Thomas and Mack Center.
It's all coming to Vegas, babe.
Yes.
Tell me
you
more.
The
They're
Big
coming
West,
to your town.
You got the WAC. You got it's crazy. The WCC tournament is a lot of fun. It's great because it is the first as well. And last year the Mountain West Conference tournament moved theirs up a week because they had a major construction convention of all things in Vegas. So if we go back prior to the pandemic, the last two tournaments that were contested were the WCC and the Mountain West Conference, and both were electric last year. I mean, Gonzaga, like you said, the Mark Few Invitational, it's always great to see Gonzaga, perennial number one team, number one seed. They were the number one overall last year heading into it. So it's always great seeing them. But last year at the Thomas and Mack Center, it was a great final between Utah State defeated San Diego State on a buzzer beater by Sam Merrill, hit one from about 30 feet. And that place was electric. And just, talking to the coaches in the Mountain West Conference, the last few weeks and everything. I mean, they are really bummed that there are going to not be any fans at the Thomas and Mack Center because it truly is a great atmosphere. And the Mountain West Conference is not a great conference, but, to have all of these schools gather under one roof, for 5 days is something special. And, going back to the WCC, it has been the Gonzaga Invitational. They have been challenged in years past, somewhat to a certain degree, by St. Mary's, even BYU. But this year, Gonzaga, obviously, with the one of the top recruits in the nation in Suggs, he's going to be a one and done guy, the first one and done guy probably in Gonzaga history. That's something special. BYU can be a challenge. I don't expect BYU to beat Gonzaga, but that could be interesting. But yeah, it all starts on Thursday. We're looking forward to it. Semifinals on Monday. A very weird seeding. My buddy Bill Cartwright, who is in town for USF, they're having a down year. They're the number 8 seed. They open up against a 9, but if they win, they play a 5. If they win there, they play a 3. Because Gonzaga gets the double bye.
Wow. This
and
sounds
then
like
third and fourth
something.
seeds get the single bye.
This
It's
sounds
crazy.
like something they came up with on the TC Martin show with creative math and trying to figure it all out. So you're going to sort it all out between West Coast Conference, Mountain West, Pac-12 coming there too, which is intriguing.
Pac-12 next week. Yeah,
we'll see how that goes. Wolo, I'm going to share the screen. The Tigers, the Memphis Tigers, were in Tampa last night. You were doing the game remotely. You were not here. I would have been buying you more meals. But the Memphis basketball team, here we go. Go Tigers, go. Celebrating in the locker room after a road win over USF. Level with me, Wolo. This Memphis team more than likely has to win the American Conference tournament and get the automatic bid. What kind of shot does the alma mater really have here home stretch? I know there's a Houston game looming this weekend. What kind of shot do the Tigers have in the American tournament, Fort Worth, Texas? What do you say, sir?
Well, I think if they were to beat Houston on Sunday, that is a nationally televised game, noon Eastern time. If they win that game and then say got to the championship game, I think there is an outside chance. The league didn't do them any favors. I think Mike Oreska would say in hindsight that he gave too much leeway to the athletic directors and to the coaches in scheduling, because some weird things have happened down the stretch. Houston refused to play Memphis 2 games. They played last Sunday. They're not playing again until they play Memphis on Sunday. The league had actually moved that USF game from last night. It was supposed to be tonight. They moved it to Tuesday so there could be a Thursday game with either Houston or Wichita State. And both Wichita State and Houston didn't want to play the game. So they want to try to protect where they are right now. I don't think it helps the league. I don't think if you're viewing from the outside, you're looking at a group that's trying to really be competitively balanced at all. I think they're trying to protect the seeding for Houston, and I think they're trying desperately to make Wichita State the second American team that will get a bid. But I don't think that their resume is good enough as it stands. So it may be a mistake. And the commissioner, I don't know if he really made these calls or if ADs and coaches who were given more leeway because of COVID this year, they're the ones that have sort of messed this whole thing up.
And just another minute or two here. That's all that we have left. Just important that the league wanted Houston and Memphis to make up the game that Memphis missed because of their COVID pause. And the league, if I'm correct, Wolo, correct me if I'm wrong, the league said you're playing Houston the final week, midweek of the season before you play Sunday. And Houston said no. The league wanted it to happen, but Houston said no. Do I have that right?
You do have that correct. Basically, about 10 days ago, Penny Hardaway on his television show said to me, they're moving the USF game to Tuesday so that we can play Houston on Thursday in Houston, on Sunday in Memphis. And Houston said, no, we're not doing that. Because Memphis had COVID and disrupted the first game, there's a rule that if you only play once, the team that had COVID that caused the cancellation has to go to the other team's place. That's what they wanted. They could have played twice this week, and Houston said no. In fact, Houston said, let them play Wichita State, which Memphis beat by 20 points earlier in the year. And Wichita State said, no, thanks. Play Houston.
To your point, you're leaving it up to the schools and their ADs, and that's the American Conference, which, again, Houston is in at large even if they don't win the tournament. So it's possibly a 2-bid league if Wichita, Memphis, or somebody else wins the tournament, but still some hanky-panky at the end of the year. And I'm a Tiger through and through. The Tigers should be playing Houston here at the end of the year. I still haven't forgiven the late Guy Lewis and Akeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler for what they did to Memphis, and TC's nodding along. He knows about it too. All right, before we get out of here on the YouTube Roundtable, let me promote for my guys one more time. One TC Martin. You see him right here on social media at TC Martin21. Go find him there on social media at TC Martin21. If you're only hearing us, go find his show. Here is his show's homepage, the TC Martin Show, tcmartinshow.com. 5 days a week on in the afternoons in Las Vegas. Tons of college hoops coming, not just this week and next week, but all through March Madness. You've been seeing and hearing from Dave Woloshin on the YouTube roundtable. Here is Wolo and his partner, Brett Norsworthy, stats. And one of their most recent shows, Wolo, very overdressed for the occasion in a suit jacket. We love that about him. Go find him at Sports 56 WHBQ. There it is on Twitter every afternoon. This man has been the dean of Memphis Sports Talk for 30 years in the afternoon. Sports 56 WHBQ is the station, the website, and also on social media. I think I got all of my plugs in for my guys here.
Good job.
We got to get out of here in like 30 seconds or less. Final comment, TC
Nice
Martin.
seeing you,
TC, I got like 30 seconds for each of you. Go. TC, anything you want to riff on? Promote your show one more time. Go.
No, just always a pleasure being on with you, TJ. Look forward to you being on my show. It's March Madness right around the corner, and good luck to those Memphis Tigers.
We love that. Wolo, anything else in closing? I know I'm buying dinner the next time you're in town. Yes.
You owe me Mel's hot dogs for sure. To TC, it was very nice to meet you. Enjoy all 5 of those tournaments. Everybody stay healthy. I'm actually going to Fort Worth for a basketball road game, so I know we're starting to turn the corner.
Let's hope so. With the vaccine and everything that's going on, Wolo did not do a single basketball game on the road because of the concerns. Again, I came out of an NFL season where we didn't do a single game on the road, including the playoffs, including the Super Bowl. They were all at Raymond James Stadium. It's a crazy time. Let's take what we can get. TC Martin in Vegas, thank you. Dave Woloshin in Memphis, thank you for hanging with me on the Three Dog Thursday podcast.